Good to be back, gentlemen.
I feel like we're a little bit too close here.
I was just thinking
it's
that.
a
I
bit
was thinking,
uncomfortable, isn't it?
You're invading my personal space, Chris.
have I done something wrong, or
Corner.
would you come in, or
How are we?
Yeah, good. Official start of the series now.
Come back.
yes,
What series are we on?
16. I think. Well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
we're round about that way, innit?
Yeah,
What was the series where we only did release 3 episodes or something?
4 maybe.
Yeah.
That was piss poor. That was your fault, Matty.
Yeah,
I hope everybody's had a bloody good summer.
yep. Recharge the batteries. We have.
Hope everybody enjoyed the little bonus episode that we released last week. Obviously not the official start. Today's the official start with Tommy Spur.
That was the last pre-season friendly one at last week.
Yeah,
Just getting
Yeah.
your legs going.
yeah.
Warming up.
Trying to peak.
Great analogy. Analogy. Yeah.
I put you down a lot, Chris, but I must say you're looking fantastic.
You lost some
You
timber,
don't need
haven't
to
you?
tell me. You don't need to tell me. I already know. Tell myself every
down the
morning in
lens.
the mirror.
Filth.
Yeah,
Mine is that
everybody
Nick
knows as
McCarthy
well.
video. Did he raise his eyebrows or something?
You are actually very
I
close,
know,
aren't
I
you?
feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Until I put my hand on his wood.
No, but we're back by popular demand. I think we could actually start calling this our jobs.
Do you think?
I think we're at the point now where we could say this is our jobs.
I think this week in particular has been like a full-time job, hasn't it? Do you think?
Yeah.
not?
You two must be on more money than me.
Why?
Calling it a full-time job. I'm still,
No, I mean,
I'm still bar working at weekends, mate.
Glass collecting in fucking Beehive. No, to be fair, we've had a tough week. We said tough week, but when we say tough week, people are going to be like, "What a fucking set of dicks."
We've been tired though, haven't we?
Oh, aye,
On a
Yeah.
night like.
yeah.
Yeah. Bristol first.
Bristol first for David Illia, Cardiff for David Cottrell. Touching him up. Can I swap places? And then back to Birmingham for Don Goodman and Leroy Leiter.
We've just done Don. I loved it.
Top tier.
Great.
Yeah.
Great episode.
What an incredible guy. Don't look any different to 20 years ago.
He's
when
got a
I
good head
played
on
with
him. He's got a good head on him.
Yeah.
Strong head.
Head of, yeah, jealous.
What, head of hair?
Yeah.
Oh, aye. Oh, aye.
But
So that constitutes a full week's work for us.
Is your weed dried yet?
No.
you're always pissing your pants, you.
Do you know what, right? And people will realise this as they get older. Do you know as you get older, it takes much more checking, right?
Well, check it then.
But I do.
I stood next to John. I had the privilege of standing next to John yesterday for a wee, and he said exactly that. And then it just went quiet for like 15 seconds. And he went, "See, 12 seconds I've shook that bastard."
It was still a dribble.
Well, the countdown.
Unless
You need to a ringo.
if I check it anymore, mate, I'm in fucking Shipley territory. I'm having a wank in toilets.
Just wear some pants, and it catches
Yeah,
it.
underpants.
But
Just piss
I
yourself then.
I don't like underpants.
Every time you come out from the toilet, you've got a map of Africa on inside leg.
Underpants are not. I don't like. Underpants are not comfortable for me.
At least you've wore a good colour for.
What the light? The light.
Your laundry
Peach.
basket must stink like an old people's home.
Eh?
Your laundry basket must stink
Well,
like
to
an
be
old
fair,
people's home.
I've got a bit of a cleanaholic. So every time, if I do an after dinner on a Friday night and I come home Saturday morning, by the time I've got up, my shirt's washed.
Just stand up and let everybody have a look at home.
What, my cock?
Come on, get her out. Yeah, that's poor.
Look at that.
Jesus.
It's a double drip as well.
I'm getting an old man.
Need a haircut, John.
I want an
Need a
haircut.
haircut.
I know. We're gonna have one down here, but we on his travels, but it's been working too hard, haven't we?
He said, just before we went to sleep, he went, "I'm going to get up early and get my hair cut." So we were, obviously the next morning got to like 11. You not fancy the haircut? Nah, can't be arsed. We'll say we're working hard, we're still in bed at 11 o'clock.
But to be fair, I've done all the driving, haven't I?
Yeah.
I'll have done
You
500.
due?
I'll give you that.
You were due.
I'll have done 500 mile.
Yeah.
And I noticed Chrissy keeps very quiet when we speak about the driving.
I don't like driving.
I might buy a 2-seater car. Fuck you.
I don't like driving.
Huh?
It makes me feel important.
He
I'll
did
be
give you
honest
a
with you.
compliment yesterday, though, as you were in the back.
Yeah, well, I always keep busy. I've got to keep the wheels turning.
He says they put some graft in, don't they? We were just there
As I'm driving.
eating Harry Potters.
As I'm driving, you're on the laptop, he's on the laptop, and he's on the
Boggle. I was playing Boggle.
Boggle, right? And by the way, I've never played it myself, but anybody who's ever played Boggle, it's a game of fluke.
No,
or it is when he plays it. He just puts his finger anywhere random and just squiggles.
I'm unbeatable on that. This isn't an advert, by the way. They're not sponsoring the podcast.
Sometimes it goes yellow, and a lot of times it goes, the letters just flash up. No, you can't have, it's not a word. So if anybody ever plays Brownie at Boggle, whatever it's fucking called, Gobble, I think about getting home there. It's shit. He just randomly puts his finger on a letter and swizzes his
Sees what happens.
If anybody fancies a game of Boggle, then...
I tell you why I work hard though in back at Car, because we were going to Cardiff yesterday, and I was like, "Have we got an hotel for tonight?" And response is no. And then I think, right, is somebody going to say, "I'll have a look now," and it's just nothing.
Conveniently, me and John just went like that, pretending to be on the phone.
He's boggling. That's
I'll be
right.
like, right,
I'm driving. I can't go on my phone. He's boggling.
I'll book something then, shall I?
Yeah. Where did we stay?
Premier Inn.
Premier Inn. We're
Bloody good.
Premier Inn twice. That's not an advert.
Another
either.
tip, if you're in a Premier Inn and your pillow's too hard, there's a softer one in the wardrobe. Because we like soft
Is
pillows.
there?
Don't we, Biggin? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't change, did you?
No.
I just swapped it and it was, honestly... I don't
Yeah,
know why they
no,
put the
there's-
best one in the cupboard.
Yeah, there's spare pillows in wardrobe.
No.
In a bag. Clear through a bag.
Oh, we'll have a little fight tonight, Matthew.
We're going home tonight.
Oh,
I've got two of them in
next
my bag
time.
as well, so I brought them with us.
Next time, there'll be feathers everywhere.
What's that?
A bit of a burp type thing. Very random, this intro, isn't it? But
It is.
I like
We hope
these
everybody enjoyed the Tommy Spur episode. I mean, we could talk about it, but I can't remember because it was about 18 months ago we recorded it.
Megson. I don't think Megson's come out of it very good, has he?
No.
I think Tommy said that a few people had donated.
Yeah, thanks everybody for your donations. We'll have done the bike ride by this. When this comes
Yeah, you
out.
will have, yeah.
We won't have.
Won't we, Chris?
Yeah.
You've gone very quiet on the
Again.
but yeah, there's going to be more fundraisers than that.
Tell you what he'll do. He'll make another excuse look like he did the first day of the
Yeah.
walk. Oh, we did the walk.
It's like excuse roulette, innit? Which
Yeah.
one can I use today?
I'd go as far as to say he could kick his shed door in and say he's been burgled and the bike's been nicked.
You'll be getting Oscar.
Done that before, you
Give
know.
you one of them.
Yeah.
Concussed.
Come with a baseball bat. Yeah, we did the walk, didn't we?
Yeah, we did 2 peaks,
3 peaks.
Yeah.
1 peak.
That was good. Good trip, that.
Yeah, thanks for everybody who supported the walking's brilliant. We got up the mountains.
Did that T-shirt used to be white?
Was it not?
It's you've been putting it in with. Has Rose been
Darks.
putting it in with? Yeah.
Been putting too much in.
I know one way now with the washing and that. You've been putting that in with dark. There might have been a rogue sock in.
Also available in white.
Yeah, I think it looks all right. No stains.
Yeah, the yellow stain under the pits there.
Are there?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kev was good, wasn't he? Kevin Lynch.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Kevin Lynch this week.
obviously Jeff was the first ref we had on, and I think this is right up there with Jeff's.
Yeah.
I really do.
Very funny.
I hope it gets as much,
Praise.
not so much praise, but as much interaction
Yeah.
as what Jeff's did, because this is fucking brilliant. I think it's brilliant. I've seen him speak. He's
Some of
fantastic.
them stories from like the 80s, they're a bit eyebrow raising, like today's game.
Well, Matty were editing in the back, obviously, as we said. And he just started chuckling to himself, like, what are you laughing at? And he was on about his particular story away at...
We'll not spoil it, John. We'll not spoil it.
No, I'm not going to tell a
go
story,
on.
you dick.
All right.
Was it Greece? Was he in Greece or somewhere?
Anyway, and I was just pissing my pants.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Hey, we got the Spitch Fantasy Football League, Premier League, Championship League. Pick your team. We're on it, aren't we?
Now we've talked a good game, haven't we, about we're going to win, we're going to be brilliant at it, but now
So
business.
The link's in the description, and we've got it on Twitter. So you just sign up with Spitch, and then you pick your team, Premier League team or your Championship team, whichever one you fancy, or you might want to do both. And we've got the league that we can all compete in. I think it's 85p to join the league.
In it, but it works out at 85 pence.
85p to join the league, and then the winner after the week
This
takes
could
a
be anything,
cash.
Chris.
Shall we have a little game between ourselves?
We'll do it. Oh, you can't drive, can you? I was
Well,
going
I can
to say,
drive, I just don't. I just choose not
take the
to.
option.
He can drive. He's got a license.
I was going to say whoever finishes bottom drives the next trip.
Or whoever finishes bottom makes a donation to a charity. Over the season, this will make you. All right, relax. Fucking hell.
I'll have to do double shifts at behind.
But this will make you think on to not forget to do it. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So
We'll have them out on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram to join the leagues, and I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I always
pick your captain.
I always saw myself as a managerial material. So
Well, I put my suits on when I picked my team earlier.
see, I've gone Tony Pulis.
Right.
I've got a new Under Armour cap, jumper, tracky bottoms, and a raincoat, which I'll wear every Saturday at 3.
I've got a gilet hung up just in case the weather changes.
Good thinking.
So get
the
on
best man win.
Get on Spitch, and
So people can join our league.
People can join our league. All you got to do, sign up to Spitch. Links in the description. I'm going to have it on all the social, and then just find out. We'll also have the link for the Premier League, and the Championship League.
2 different leagues.
And then you can click on pick your team, join the league, 85p, and the winners split the winnings.
Should we get Kevin in?
Should we get him in?
I think, yeah. By the way,
just go with
What are you doing?
they are out of order. Turn up for work in them.
yeah.
I've had them on for 3 days and
And that toenail.
I know.
I'd love to be able to show you, but fuck me.
Kevin Lynch, come on. You know what that is?
Come on, Kev.
You know what that way? You don't know what it is, do you? I'm waving the flag.
Oh, yeah.
I'm lying.
I knew what
Is
that
he
was.
offside?
Yeah.
I'm just bingo wing.
He nearly took me eye out. Come on, Kev.
Tell you what, when this barrage of abuse gets too much for me, I'm gonna snap. I'm gonna snap, and you'll both have a fucking microphone shoved up your. You'll have one shoved up your ass, and the other one shoved up your nostril. Twats.
There was one, I think it was the picture you put up, Chrissy, and you've given a decision, probably the wrong decision, but excuse me. I've got in early. But it looks like are you double jointed?
No.
Have you seen?
No,
You know which one
I'm just very effeminate when I can't get a free kick. Just naturally, yeah. I think if you go like that, you say, come on then, who's going to fucking have a go at me? I'll tell you a little thing. In days when I was learning, being taught to be a referee and coming through the ranks, you were always taught that when you gave a penalty kick, you gave it and then you ran away. And you ran to the goal line, near where the penalty area line, it's the goal line. And then if anybody comes to you, that's clear dissent by action and you can take action. That was the way we were taught. And I never felt comfortable doing that. I thought if I've given a penalty, I can explain why I've given it if they want me to ask me. Anyway, I started watching Serie A and Italian stuff. And in Italy, years ago, if a referee gave a penalty kick, he pointed and went and stood on the penalty spot, right? And the players used to come in having a go, and he'd just go like that. Just like that. No. So I thought, I might fucking try that. and I thought I'll be careful where I try it. So we're at Crewe Alexandra in the Football League, and I give this penalty. I thought, right, give it, and I walked and stood on the spot. And 4 or 5 of them come in, and I just went, and they all fucked off. It were brilliant. And ever since that day, when I talked to referees, I said, don't run away at penalties, just go and stand there.
Stand your ground.
Stand your ground. And if they come and say, what's up? I said, well, he stripped him. I said, no, he stripped him. Are you sure? I said, well, I'm stood here giving penalties, that's it. And, all they want is you might have got it wrong, but you're just there and you're saying, that's why I've given it, lads. Now, in fairness, if you want to watch a video of it later on, when we're all sat down in the quiet of a darkened room, I might have got it wrong, but at the moment, I'm giving it. End of story. And I think if you explain something like that to players, they'll accept it more than just standing there and saying out or running off 30 yards,
It winds you up anyway. If you see somebody running off, you're like, fuck this, I'm after them.
It's like that. I'm off. I think I might have fucked up. I'm off.
Yeah, it's like, you'd give 2 players would be challenging near the goal line, and they'd go, bub, bub, and the ball would go over the goal line. And you straight away, corner. And immediately, It's not. It's a goal. It's a fucking goal kick. Why have I done? So it's a corner. And then someone would come over and say, fucking hell, Lynchy, what's going on? I said, wait for this. Corner comes in. Free kick. Push on the goalkeeper. and that's what you do. And the players are going, oh, fucking hell, wish we had you every week. You know? Little things like that. I know it's not right, but it gets you through the game.
So would you actually have it in your head thinking, right, I think I've given the wrong decision. I'm going to rectify it.
I would, John, in fairness. In that respect, I would. Because if you think to yourself, fucking hell, everybody knows I've got that wrong. I was clearly wrong. I think, nobody sees you do anything different. You just go, free kick. Nobody says a dicky bird. Yeah. But at the end of the day, because look, you don't want, if that then goes in and it's a goal, what's going on here? It's just horrendous. Because you've got a really bad goal from what was a bad decision. And I was never subscribing to that. So, yeah, it didn't happen too often, let me tell you. But if it did, that's what I used to do.
Damage limitation, I suppose. If that corner comes in and they score, the replays are going out then,
and then all the players are going, So I just mitigated it by giving a free kick. And I'd if a player's going, oh, good, I said, wait, just hang on a tick, watch this. Free kick. And they think, oh, thanks ever so much. And that, I think, is sensible game management. I'm not breaking any rules. I'm twisting them slightly. But I'm not breaking any. But at the end of the day, I've got the right decision. The right decision at the end of the day. We never wanted to have an iffy goal coming from an iffy decision. It's like you've got to try and get it right. And that's one of the little things I used to do.
I think I said on Jeff's, I've been on the bench where I've seen the fourth official basically tell the ref that he got it wrong. It was like a deep free kick that was getting pumped into the box, and exactly the same thing happened. Yeah, there's nobody 10 yards away from committing any kind of fouls. You free kick, and there's a little bit of what the fuck's all that about? But
it's forgotten. Where if you're scored from it, it's not forgotten.
Yeah, but you've got to blow early, surely, because if you delay it a little bit and someone hits it in the top bin, you're like, oops.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little thing, but I used to do that. Yeah, I used to do that. No.
Would if you did drop a bollock that did lead to a goal, would you let it play on your mind?
It all depends. If I've clearly dropped a bollock, then I've got an issue. If I've clearly dropped one and I realise it before the play resumes, I've got an issue. I know there are a lot of people working in the League Managers Association who really believe that referees do try and even it up during the course of a game. Now, I didn't subscribe to that. I've given you an example of where I might just do something because I know I've made a bad decision, and I've done that. But if I gave a decision which I was firmly convinced was right, and even though I've got players shouting at me and doing, but if I'm absolutely convinced, irrespective of what they think, I'm sticking with that. And no, John, it never played on my mind. No, never. I've given it, that's the end of it.
I mean, we've been in changing rooms at half time. So when they've had a man sent off and the manager will always say, he'll even it up. Don't let him even it up. Does stuff like that happen? Will the referee watch it at half time and go, that was never a red?
Not normally. I mean, in my day, we never had access to a TV screen at half time. Although I do recall, I did a game at Tranmere Rovers. I think it was a quarter final of the League Cup some years ago. And I'd given, during the first half, I awarded an indirect free kick to Tranmere. So I've got my hand up in the air. Free kick comes in, right into the goal mouth. And then the ball ends up in the back of the net, right? And I'm firmly convinced that no one has got a touch on this ball. And therefore, because it's an indirect free kick, you can't score a goal directly from it. So I give a goal kick. And they're all saying, he's touched it, he's touched it. I said, no, nobody's touched that goal kick. And this is, look, I'm disallowing what they appear to think is a goal. And at half time, I've gone hunting the TV crew and the cameras because I needed to know. It was a massive decision and I needed to know. And thankfully, it showed that nobody had touched the ball.
It wouldn't have benefited you anyway, would it, really? Because the decision's been made.
Yeah, the decision, but I just needed to know from a personal point of view.
Was that to even it up, second half?
No. No. No, I never tried to even things up. No, I never tried to even things up. I think you've got to take it warts and all. And I always remember Sir Alex Ferguson. We had a chat. I used to get on well with Sir Alex because the first time I met him, I was on the touchline running the line. And he could be quite vociferous from the box. And he'd come out rasping at me over something offside I'd not given or given. Give me a mouthful. So I give him a mouthful back. And he come up to me at the end of the game. He said, I've got to tell you, son, that's the way to handle me when I get stroppy. He said, you fucking... I said, oh, that's okay, no problem. But so we'd always got on well. And he once said to me, he said, Kev, you know, no matter what technology you bring in and how you mark the referees and do it, he said, let me tell you this, at the end of the season, the best team will be at the top of the league and the worst team will be at the bottom. So he says, over a season, all them decisions really even themselves out because that's the top, that's the bottom, irrespective if you've had a penalty or you've not. He said, I'm quite philosophic about it because he says, I know at the end of the season, whether we've had bad decisions or good, we'll be where we deserve to be as a team. It's quite interesting.
I've always thought that.
Yeah.
Over the course of the season.
Balance itself out.
But it's the decisions towards the end of the season when there's a penalty given that costs you you draw or you win.
Yeah.
That's in the forefront of your mind, not the one in September when you got a dodgy one away at Wrexham.
There's some big games towards the end of the season. I know I was halfway through my career on the league, and on the Easter Monday I get Crystal Palace, Leicester City. And funnily enough, I'd done Leicester City, Crystal Palace earlier in the season. So, and it's back end and they're both going for promotion. They're both going for the top slot of the championship. And this game is tough. They both, Dave Bassett's in charge of Crystal Palace. Martin O'Neill's in charge of Leicester City. And it was a hell of a tough game. And Leicester City won it 1-0, and it was a penalty that I'd given the game, so they won away from a 1-0. And after the game, Bassett's going mental, like Dave could. So he's fucking ranting and raving, coming down the tunnel. I says, oi. I said, if you want to talk to me, come in the dressing room. So he says, right, I fucking will.
Oh, no.
So, no, right.
I don't think he'd take me up on
So stood outside the dressing room, always at Crystal Palace, was a copper. He was on duty on there. So Bassett's come in and I says to this copper, just come in and witness what's going on with you. Bassett said, what the fuck's he doing in here? I said, well, I've invited him in, Dave, because you might say something you regret, which might provoke me to say something I might regret, and the police officer will have a record of everything just in case we end up in court. And Bassett says, oh, fuck this, Lynch, and just walked out. He didn't say a word to me, you know. So we get changed and what have you. So bearing in mind that I've travelled down by train, knock on door, and it's this copper from the tunnel. He says, it's a bit lively outside, Kev. I'll escort you to your car. I said, you'll do well. It's at fucking Leeds railway station. It's a long way to walk. He says, you're joking. I said, I've come down by train. Oh, he says, hang on. I said, I'm not. I said, well, what? He says, I'm walking back to the railway station, getting the train. Oh, so I'm not happy about that. Hang on, he says, give me 5 minutes. So he comes back 5 minutes later. I'm all ready to move. And he says, come with me. So I go outside. Police car, flashing blue lights, boot open. In the kit goes, in the back seat. 14 minutes from Selhurst Park to platform 4 at King's Cross Station. 14 minutes. Vroom, blue lights, the fucking job lot. Drop me off. Thanks a lot, sir. All right. Just the job. Way to travel that. Got to do that again.
Was that, did you get a lot of abuse away from football? Would you get many, fans spotting you out in the streets?
Yeah, you did from time to time. I refereed Fulham against Blackpool at Craven Cottage the day before the Football League final at Wembley, which was on a Sunday. Now, I've always been a closet Sheffield Wednesday fan. And the following day, Wednesday were playing Arsenal. It must have been 93, probably, when Wednesday were playing Arsenal at Wembley in the League Cup final the following day. So I've gone down, I've got this game in London, stopping overnight, going to the game on the Sunday. So the game on the Saturday at Craven Cottage got a bit lively. I think I sent one off from each side. I know it ended up 1-1, but I sent one off from each side. It was a tetchy game. And on the Sunday morning, I'm with my family, wife and kids, and we're having a potter around Covent Garden before we go out to Wembley for the final. And just walking around, I was with my lad. My wife had split off with my daughter, with my lad, and we're just like, and I heard this voice say, "Fucking hell, it's Lynchy." And I looked up, and there was a group of Blackpool fans, must have been 10, 12 of them up, and they've clocked me. And they're obviously remembering what's happened yesterday. You fucking imbecile, what sort of... And I said, and so I went, oi, whoa, don't shout at me from up there, come down. So they come down, and I said, right, let's have a chat. And within 15 minutes, I was being invited up for Blackpool for my holidays, anything I wanted, just by talking it through. So occasionally I got confronted like that. I once took my lad to watch Yorkshire play at Headingley, and they were playing Lancashire, and as we were coming out, there were some Burnley fans who clocked me. Now, I was hated in Burnley. I seriously was. Burnley is the only football club that I ever reported for racial abuse from the terraces. They played Blackpool a night match, and they were throwing bananas onto the pitch because Blackpool had some black players. I mean, it was horrendous.
What dates are we talking about here?
We're talking mid to late 90s.
Right.
I think Chris Waddle might have been the manager at the time because he had a spell at Burnley as manager. But they were the only, and I never enjoyed refereeing at Burnley. It was one of those, when I say to people, look, when it's 25 to 8 in the evening in this country, in Burnley, it's still 1935. Because it's like going back into a time warp. And I never enjoyed refereeing there. And consequently, I when I look back on my career, I don't think I ever refereed particularly well. Players, I'm sure, have grounds where they think, I'm looking forward. I always have a good game there. Referees are the same. So you put that on one side. I hated Burnley, and they hated me. But I always used to love refereeing at Wolverhampton Wanderers or West Brom because I always seemed to referee well there. I felt comfortable. It is funny. It is funny.
But we did have a lot of Burnley fans message saying he fucking hated us.
Oh, listen, I sometimes clock on when I'm going through Google these sites that these fans have. Who is your most hated ref over the years? And my name's on fucking all of them. Which is a bit hard. But it's amazing what they tell. We used to have so-and-so, and then there was Kevin Lynch. Fucking, and it gives you some right hammer. And you sometimes don't realise how deep the feelings can run over some little bald-headed bloke who for 90 minutes ruined their Saturday afternoon.
And was it Walter off a duck's back?
Yeah. Had to
Never
be.
take it home with you.
Had to be. Look, if you don't want to be in the kitchen when it gets bloody warm, come out.
Yeah.
I was always conscious of the impact it had on my kids because, they go to school on a Monday and somebody who's into football said, fucking hell, what was your dad doing yesterday, And funnily enough, in my last season, just before about to retire, Football League got in touch with me because I had a good relationship with the Football League most of the time. And they said, we've had the Daily Express on. Either the Daily Express or the Daily Mail, one of the two. And they want to do an interview. I said, oh, all right. No, he said, not with you, with your wife. I said, why? They said they want to get the wife's view on being married to a referee. So I said to Jan, do you fancy doing this? And she did. She did it, and she did a really good article about how it affected her because she hated coming with me, and I could count on one hand the number of times she actually went with me to watch, because she wanted to blend into the background. Sometimes, again mentioning Tranmere, took her to Tranmere one day when I'm refereeing, seats in the director's box, right? She got. Of course, directors know who's sitting over there. She got absolutely hammered by directors about me, which is bang out of order. Yeah. But she gave a really good article, revealed things that I want,
I was going to say, was that
it was eye-opening to me.
Read?
Eye-opening to me. Yeah, because she's saying like, you know, these fans, these spectators are out there hurling abuse and language at my. She says, "This is the fella I love. This is my husband. You're doing this to, you know." Very interesting. And just to balance that, again in my last season, a fan from Burnley wrote a letter to the Football League about me, and the letter said something like, "Football League. Dear sir, I understand that referee Kevin Lynch is retiring at the end of the season, and I'd just like to say that over the years I've watched him many times at Turf Moor, and I've always been impressed by the way he conducted himself and his refereeing. So I wish him all the best in his retirement." And the league passed that letter on to me, and I reproduced that in my book as well. Really, if you take up refereeing, and I did when I was 15. You don't do it for the plaudits, you know. You do it because, and people say, "Oh, you must have loved football." I fucking love football. Some of the football I had to referee was shite. I loved the art of refereeing because I saw good refereeing as contributing to a good game of football. My target when I first started as a 15-year-old lad was to get to be a Football League linesman, because that I thought I could achieve. I never said to myself, "You're going to be a Football League referee." Never. And even when I got to the line in 1985. And I thought, this is me now. Boomf, cracked it. I'm happy here now till I'm 48 or so I'll be on the line. And then you suddenly start lining games and you're looking at the referee and you're thinking, I could fucking do this. Probably a touch better than he's doing it. And so your objectives and your goals change slightly. And suddenly that then becomes, oh, I can do this. And let me tell you that I had a big decision to make when I got interviewed to be a Football League referee. It was in 1992. I'd done 7 years on the line. And in that last year, I was one of the first nominated FIFA assistant referees. That when FIFA created the role of the linesman, as we were then, to be a specific role, every footballing country nominated so many officials to go onto that list. And I was one of the first 7 in this country. You can't do both jobs. I couldn't be a Football League referee and a FIFA assistant referee. It was either or. And when I went for my interview, committee there in Preston, and they said, I always remember, John Goggins was the referee's officer at the time. He said, Kevin, he said, why ever do you want to be a Football League referee? He says, you're a FIFA linesman. He says, you've already been abroad 3 times this year. You'll go abroad at least 12 times every year. You'll probably line a European final. You'll probably go to a World Cup. Why do you want to be a referee and have to give all that up? And I said, it's easy, John. I said, because the dream changed from the line to being the man who walks down the tunnel with the ball under his arm. And that now is what I want to do. But I mean, in that FIFA year, I did 4 trips abroad, one of which was to Turin, where I ran the line in the first leg of the UEFA Cup final that year, when it was a 2-legger. This is before the Europa Cup and all this shit.
It was Ajax.
Ajax against Torino, first leg in Turin. This is 1992. And the Turin players are on the equivalent of 25 grand, as it was then, a man, to get a result. 2-legger. Turin 1 week, back in Amsterdam the following week. They're on 25 grand a man. And from the moment we landed, and this happened quite a lot when you did European games in my day, it was subtle bribery all the way to see if they anything they could do to persuade you that they were the bee's knees and they deserved the result, they'd do. And they wanted to measure us up for Armani suits. We got everything we wanted. Before the game, which was at the Stadio delle Alpi, the old stadium in Turin, 65,000 in on the night. There's some Fiat cars going round the track, you know, advertising. You like the car? I said, oh, it's lovely. He said, we'll have one fucking delivered to you if you want. I said, whoa. Fucking calm down here. Anyway, we did the game, and with about 15 minutes to go, Torino are winning 2-1. And you're thinking, this is going nicely now, you know, because we knew there were a load of crack to come afterwards if they got the result. Anyway, with about 15 minutes to go, Joe Worrell gives a penalty. Dennis Bergkamp was playing for Ajax. He went into the box, went down. Penalty, I think it was Wim Jonk, came up, smacked it in, 2-2. And it ended 2-2 on the night. And the following week in Amsterdam, they drew 0-0. Away goals count double. And that year, Ajax won the UEFA Cup. But so they've only drawn 2-2, and they know they've blown it, Torino. So we're coming off the pitch, the four of us, we've gathered to come and touch. The president of Torino's coming down towards us. And on each side of the tunnel, there are the Italian carabinieri with fucking cocked rifles, right? And you're thinking, this isn't going well. And this president coming through a punch at Joe Worrell. Fucking missed him, thankfully, and got ushered away. But it was, and you're thinking, fucking hell, what's going on here? Anyhow, we got in, and from that moment, they dropped us. They didn't want to know. They didn't want to get involved in taking us out for a meal, back to their hotel, nothing. I've never seen that as a nation of people who, I mean, I've been involved in football matches in this country, Manchester United, Liverpool line, that, been up in the northeast. Nothing compares with the Italian mentality, to me anyway, from my experience of the Italians. They're just balmy.
It's frightening,
nasty,
that, man.
nasty.
Buttering you up before the game and then drop you.
But when it doesn't go their way, they were appalling.
If there's a one, even, would there have been a Fiat on drive?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And an Armani suit in the wardrobe. Yeah. No, seriously. I mean, we went to, one of the games I did that year was in Athens. I went to Panathinaikos. Panathinaikos against Anderlecht in the Champions League. And morning of the game, we've gone to the stadium, Olympic Stadium, check it all out. And then somebody says, one of our presidents owns a jewellery shop in the centre of Athens, and he would like you to call in and get a gift. So I'm thinking, fucking hell, what's going on here? And Paul Ruggiero, who was on the line with me, said he'd been there a few weeks earlier on another game. He said, it's the bollocks, this, Lynchy. He says, all Greek gold is 24 carat. He says, and you can take what you want. I said, you're joking. So we go in this shop. All this jewellery, watches, the job lot. And I said, I'm looking around and said, what can I? Oh, he said, take whatever you want. Have whatever you want. So I got a necklace for my wife and a necklace and a bracelet for my wife. I got it home, it was valued at $4,000. Yeah. And I remember someone went abroad with Keith Hackett. They went to Bayern Munich. And Hackett was revered in Munich. They thought he was the best English referee ever. So he gets invited into the Bayern Munich club store, which is like Marks and Spencer's on Marble Arch. It's fucking huge. And one of the linesmen says, you can have a gift. They said, you have a gift. And this linesman turns to Keith Hackett. He says, what do we do now, Keith? He says, clear the fucking shelves. They were coming back with cuddly toys, all sorts of fucking, tremendous. But, why did we get $3.5 grand, $4 grand worth of jewellery? It's all subtle. It's very subtle.
Would you have got in bother for that?
No, in them days we didn't. They stopped it. Like now, they don't announce who's going abroad to the media until about 48 hours before the match. So they can't be got at, because there is a major thing about getting at match officials and getting into
if there had been a major decision,
absolutely,
and that had come out.
Absolutely,
Kevin Lynch has got $4 grand worth of jewellery. He's walking around like Mr. T. And
well, listen to this: the games, we're in the 89th minute of this game, and it's 0-0. Okay, and I'm thinking, well, this is all right. We're okay. And Panathinaikos score in the last minute, and I'm thinking, fucking yes, get in, you beauty. And all these flares come down, there's a lot of mist and what have you. And out of this red mist from these flares, in the far side of the pitch, I can see Paul Ruggiero with his fucking flag in the air, giving offside. And I'm thinking, you twat, what are you doing? So, like a fucking hell. So I'm right next to the Panathinaikos bench. And they've gone fucking mental because they've seen the winning goal get chalked off. So I thought, in fairness, I went across to them. I said, look, lads, fuck all to do with me. Don't start checking it out on me. I'm thinking, fucking hell, the goal will have gone from the room. Yeah. But there we are. These things happen. Happy days.
From their perspective, even though it's not direct, that's kind of like pushing a bribe onto you, really, aren't they?
Is it subtle?
It's subtle. It's not that subtle.
It was all wherever you went. They've changed it now. You can't accept gifts, but this was becoming the regular thing. And I mean, I mentioned chatting before we started, this fella David Ellery, the ex-international referee. Ellery used to hate me because I used to judge foreign trips on the quality of the gifts we got. It was simple as that. I went to Monaco. My first trip was Monaco. Can you believe it? Fucking Lynch, you going to Monaco. And my original profession was I'm a French teacher, so I speak French, and this is like a dream come true going to Monaco. And I mean, they were lavish as well. We had each of the 4 officials had a suite of rooms in the Mirabeau Corner Hotel, right on the Grand Prix circuit, overlooking a suite of rooms. We went into the Monte Carlo Country Club for lunch. There again, we were in the casino. It was just unbelievable. And you were walking around, and they'd say, "If you see anything you fancy, just let us know." And honestly, it was unbelievable.
When you
can we just go back to the cricket match?
Yes. At Headingley.
Yeah.
I know it were Burnley fans and I just fucked off, John. I wasn't trying to talk to them, let me tell you. Ben, get the car. Oh, let's get going quick. Yeah, no, there comes a time where you don't try talking. No. You just know when to run, and you know when to as Norman say, know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And I folded them for sure. Yeah.
So when it came to making that decision to go for the refereeing side, and you were going on these trips abroad, what level did you then start refereeing at?
I came in refereeing on the Football League. 1992 coincided with the start of the Premier League as well. That's when I got on the middle. So they'd got a group of referees who were going to go on to the Premier League. Those were the well-established referees. And then I went on refereeing in Division 2, Division 1, and what is now the Championship.
Work your way up then from that point.
Yeah, work your way up, yeah.
You've like dropped it back down to the bottom run.
You do, basically, yeah, and I think that's fair enough. I started, my first league game was Chesterfield against Barnet, and then they gradually ease you up. And I'm delighted, really, that in the last few years of my career, I did the bulk of my games in the Championship. I'd earned the right to referee the bulk of my games in the old First Division or Championship, however you want to call it. So, but you work your way up, and I think that's only fair. It's like when you get on the line, they don't throw you in at Liverpool for your first game. My first game on the line on the Football League was at Doncaster Rovers against Blackpool. So you gradually build up, and then you get to where you are.
In terms of financially as well, would you have been in a better position doing what you were doing on the line than going to the bottom of the ladder?
He could sell his gold and his wine, couldn't he, when he got back?
Yeah. I'd have had an Aladdin's cave. Well, Chris, don't forget, I'm going back into the time when referees weren't full-time contracted out to the league. So
right, yeah.
You're teaching.
I was working with a bank. I was with a major bank, which was good because they allowed me the time off that I needed to do what I needed to do. But we were paid on a game-per-game basis. That was all it was, game-per-game plus expenses. And financially, if I'd have stayed on the line and been on the field, probably about the same. But I was refereeing before the real big money came in, which didn't bother me. But it was never going to pay the mortgage, but it certainly paid for foreign holidays, and that was nice,
Was there ever a game where you thought, fuck me, I've made a bad decision here?
Oh, loads.
In terms of
Chris,
I
made a fucking career of it, Chris. That's why we're talking here today. To give me a career on the after-dinner circuit for the last 30 years. It's been wonderful. In fairness, and of course you looked at clips back of games, I didn't make too many. But funnily enough, one that I made a couple. One where I once cautioned a lad called Johnson, who played for Ipswich, forward up front. He went into the box and he went down. And I'm thinking straight away, that's a penalty. And before I've got the whistle up to give it, I hear someone say, he's fucking dived. And something clicked. And I thought, fucking hell, has he? Because it was a tight one. Do you know what I mean? Has he gone down? And I thought, fucking hell, he might have done here. I need to... Bollocks. I blew and I yelled at him for diving, for simulation. Right? And he never said nothing. He didn't protest. He just took the yellow card and walked. I gets the clip. He's clearly taken from the back. It's a penalty all day long. And I wrote to the FA and said, I want to rescind the yellow card, because I said, in the interest of fair play, it's not. It was. I got the decision wrong. He didn't dive. Wasn't. And so the FA said, thanks very much. We'll rescind the yellow card. So sometimes you saw it proved to you that you got it wrong, and you had an opportunity to redress the balance and get it right. And a couple of times that happened. But in terms of the real McCoy, no. I mean, look, you'll have done your research. The night at Wigan Athletic Bristol Rovers, where I sent 5 players off. Deary me. I mean, that was a bad night at the office. But if ever, John, I was going to dissect a game and say, oh, I got that wrong. Oh, fucking hell, I got that wrong. And, you know, from whatever clips were available, I looked at it. And I looked at it around a table with people who knew, and I didn't get anything wrong that night.
They were all valid.
They were all valid sendings off. Yeah. But, of course, I was one sending off away in that game from being the first referee who had to abandon a game because one team had been reduced to 6 players. Because I've got Bristol Rovers down to 7, which in fairness made it a lot easier to referee, because when you've only got 7, you can handle them a lot better than you can 11. But I've got Bristol Rovers down to 7 and Wigan down to 10. So if I send one more off from Bristol Rovers, we're all going home early. And not only I knew that, but the players from Bristol Rovers knew that as well. And the player manager was Ian Holloway. And he's chirping him here, what the fucking hell are you doing? What the fucking hell are you doing? I said, well, have a try at controlling your players, Ian, and we might get through this till full time.
What was the score, sorry, at this point?
I think the score ended up Wigan 3, Bristol Rovers 0. Because, I mean, 7 against 10.
And what's the rule there if it's called off? Do Wigan get the
No,
points?
the game is abandoned and then it's for the powers that be to decide. But generally speaking, if it was abandoned with about 25 minutes to go, they'd have to replay the game.
Right.
But the players from Bristol Rovers knew that if I sent one more off, we'd all go home early. So they started to provoke me to send one more off. There were tackles going in, they were gobbing off at me, and I'm thinking, fuck it, I'm not going to become the first referee.
I don't want that on my CV.
I'm not having that on my CV, exactly. So for the last 20 minutes, I let them kick 7 buckets of shit out of me. And call me a twat and all sorts. And I just get on with it. And we finished the game. Well, I mean, you people, you've played. Let me tell you now, a team that kicks off at 7:45 on a Tuesday evening, playing a formation of 4-2-4, and at 9:10 that same evening, they're playing 4-2-non. And very clever. I mean, that was spectacular to get 5 players sent off. Now, in fairness, that's not the most number I've sent up in one game, believe it or not. I once sent 6 players off in a Northern Premier League game. This is semi-pro, between Whitton Albion and Worksop. I had 6 off that day. That day I managed to even it. There were 3 off from each side. I mean, funnily enough, I was more than conscious that at the level that you're operating at, it's not so much sport, it's the entertainment industry. You send one player off in a game, you're likely to distort the events and the results that game would have had with 11 on. Now, if you start going 2, 3, 4 and 5 being sent off, it's chaotic. And funnily enough, I was so aware. But you're there to do a job. And if a player just doesn't want to behave, what alternative does a referee have? I don't believe you have any. You're there to do the job. Now, and the competitions and the powers might not like the fact that you do the job, but you've got to do the job. And all right, I don't think I ever sent anybody off at the highest level for mouthing at me, because I could handle that. It was, generally speaking, second yellow cards for tackles or something that was violent. That's what I did. Where in my eyes as a referee, my hands were tied behind my back. You've just punched him. Whatever anybody says, that's a punch, you're going. End of story. And just so that happened quite a lot in one game were just one of those things, you know.
Do you know was it the Norwich Palace game?
Norwich Palace, yeah.
Is that a case of, I don't know if I'm having a shit or a shave here? There's punches thrown everywhere. I don't know who I'm...
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Chris. I mean, that's the first... Funnily enough, that caused us... Well, it didn't cause us, but we changed our approach to handling a certain situation on the field of play. I had this situation, Norwich Crystal Palace, playing for Palace, Ray Houghton, yeah? Who was always a difficult player. And he got involved, and I gave a free kick against him, yelled at him for it, and then a couple of minutes later he's done the same again, so it's second yellow red, and I'm sending him off. He's not happy, but I'm sending him off. Suddenly all the players get in. There's a lot of pushing and shoving and doing, and what happened was it splintered. So you have a group here, so I'm suddenly looking at three separate groups of players, fighting. And I haven't got a clue what's going on. Assistants are going, bottom lip's gone, oh, the fucking hell's going on here? No good asking them. So in the end, I sent out and off, and I didn't take any further action. At the end of the day, 21 of the 22 players were involved in this kerfuffle. The only player who didn't get involved was Brian Gunn, the Norwich goalkeeper, and I should have carded him for cowardice. But I didn't. We always, when I see Brian nowadays, we always have a laugh about that. But that made us, as a group of referees, look at how we handle that situation. The best way was to get both the assistants involved fairly quickly and observe. Just stand and observe. And then when it all stops, because eventually they stop fanning about and get on the feet and want to play football again, then you look and you talk and you say, yeah, we'll yellow him. Yeah, he's going, yeah. And you do it like that. So, and it changed our technique as referees in that respect. But that's what came out of that Norwich Crystal Palace game. But yeah, 21-man brawl. Yeah, happy days.
Did you actually half enjoy it? Think, fucking hell, go on.
Well,
go on. I don't like him. Go on, fucking chin him, I'll let you off.
Yeah, well, I understand that Ray Houghton has been on. He does a lot on Talk Sport, and he's dying to get me in a room with him and have a conversation about this, because he swears blind. He never committed the foul that got him sent off, which is interesting. But of course, you're going back to mid-1990s. More difficult to get the videos and the clips from that era. It's just prior to everything going global, if you like, with TV coverage. But no, I mean, look, if ever I had to take disciplinary action, I always used to analyse every single yellow card and every single red card, and I used to analyse it with this question. Could I have prevented that yellow card by having a word with that player just before? Should I have sensed that he was getting frustrated? All these things. So, in fact, although I can be quite glib and humorous about what I do, I was a very serious student of refereeing and the techniques you used. I was very, very keen on body language, as I've talked about with the penalty. Body language to me was important. And you may recall the manager of the Welsh national team many, many years ago, and he died fairly recently, Mike Smith. Mike Smith managed the national football team of Wales a few years ago. And during my working life, I came to know him in a particular project. And he taught me a technique which we passed down and is used even today, and I brought it in. So if you're the player and I'm the referee and I want to talk to you and you're 20 yards away from me and I want to speak to you, what we used to do in the bygone days would I go, 9, here. And I know you wouldn't like it because it's demeaning, right? But that's the way we used to do it. Number 9, here. And Mike Smith says, I've watched that technique, Kev. He says, think about this. Think about the 3 points of a triangle. So, John, you're point 1, I'm point 2, and point 3 is an imaginary point on this triangle somewhere over there. He says, why don't you go, number 9, can we have a word, and walk towards that 3rd point on the triangle? And he said, you're both
coming together,
right? Yeah. And you're walking, you're not coming straight, you're walking there. And I thought, well, I'll have a do at this. Well, it's a brilliant technique. Works every time. Because sometimes you might get a player who says, I'm not coming. You want to speak to me, come to me.
You get that?
Oh, hey, very rarely did I, but I was once on the line where that happened. Willie Donachie, do you remember Willie Donachie? Playing for Oldham Athletic, Joe Rose the manager, they're playing at Sheffield United. Ken Baker from Rugby's the referee. And he'd been refereeing for years, everybody knew Ken Baker. So Donachie's starting to put it about a bit. So Ken penalised this tackle, he's 20. Number 3, Mr. Donachie, come here. And Donachie goes, no. And Ken goes, Willie, come here. And Donachie goes, no, I'm not coming to you. So Baker goes, have that then. And reds him. Sends him off. Donachie's gone, Donachie moved the fucking 20 yards in fairly quickly, let me tell you. He's right in Ken's face. What are you doing with it? I said, you won't come to me? Fuck off. It's a red. Bloody Joe Royal's going ballistic. He's gone. But I said, no. And he says to Joe Royal, Joe, Willie Donachie's known me for 20 years refereeing. If I want a player to come to me, he fucking comes. If he doesn't want to come, I'm fucking sending him off. Now go and tell him that. And Joe says, okay. That's the way you want to read it, okay? And he said, no, I'll do that. You fucking come to me or you're going off. I never got through to that stage, I must admit. I once had a player say to me, I once was yellow carding this player. And he said, you might as well send me off then. I said, seriously? He says, yeah. I said, all right then. Fucking have it. Yeah, have it. And I wrote the report. I says, I'm cautioning the player, and then he invited me to send him off. So I thought, to make his afternoon, I agreed and sent him. You might as well send me off. Fucking right, no bother at all, look. I'm delighted to assist. Yeah. I mean, I've had some players say funny things over the years. I remember a player in the lower leagues. I used to say, if a player was getting a bit awkward, a bit lippy, I'd say, oi, do you get fined for dissent at your club? And I knew most of them, not all of them did. Do you get fined? He says, yeah. I said, well, look, save yourself some money and stop having a gibble at me, just get on. He said, don't give a fuck. He said, I'm on £2,000 a week. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, here then, have one for dissent and that'll just reduce that $2,000 a bit, won't it? And I carded him, no, cheeky twat. Cheeky twat. I'm trying to give him trying to help him to keep out of trouble, and just, I'm on £2,000 a week, I don't give a fuck. Right, lovely, have that.
We've had a number of lads on from that era, you know, and the names like Billy Whitus get brought up very often.
Harford.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Walsh had a kill list. You know, but that something that you're aware of?
Well, you know, I'm not saying you did your own work. You knew who you were refereeing, and you knew the players who could give you problems. You know, and you did a bit of work, but I never prejudged. But you know, if I look back on my career, two of the most difficult players I ever refereed were Roy Keane and Ian Wright, and Roy Keane, and I just don't think Roy liked referees. And in fairness, we didn't fucking like Roy Keane, so it was a fairly balanced equation. But I remember refereeing him one night at Old Trafford, and it were obvious he was out of sorts with himself, the opposition, his own teammates, and me. And he's kicking anything that moves, and he's giving me earache. I tried talking to him. That was like trying to plat fog. So I thought, right, Roy, next one's mine. And they're playing Stoke City, and this ball gets pumped up Stoke left-hand channel towards the Stretford end. And Roy Keane began his approach from about 30 yards. And I anticipate, on the night, I thought that he hit the little player from Stoke about 10 seconds after he missed the ball, and he chipped this little fella from Stoke straight into Rowe's head on the Stretford end. Horrible tackle. And anyway, I'm about 30 yards away from this, which is about as close as I ever got to anything on a football pitch. So I'm 30 yards away. Little fella from Stoke's in a splattered mess. Keane's still getting up from the tackle, and I've decided I'm going to yellow him. So I've blown the whistle, and I'm reaching for the card, top pocket. And before I can get the yellow card out, Keane's up, close the 30 yards between us, suddenly in my face. I've still not got the yellow card out. And he looked at me and says, "Do you know who I fucking well am?" And as he said that, Gary Neville were walking past. And I said, "Gary, there's a player here, don't know who he is." And Gary Neville says, "It's Roy Keane, book the twat." And I did. Roy.
It sounds as though now that could have been a 10-game ban tackle.
Oh, aye. Well, he could put them in. I mean, the players who you remember, I think that there were more players just before my time than there were during my time, but the players who you're refereeing the game and you look round and there's somebody laying on the floor and nobody's near him and something's happened and you have not got a clue what's gone on. You know, and those players I don't think are about because of trial by television now. You know, there's different camera angles, at least 17 different camera angles coming in. And people sometimes say to me, "Do you think today's referees are as good as or better than the referees of, shall we say, 50 years ago?" And my answer is always, I don't think there's any difference either way. The difference is that now any decision you give is scrutinised by television. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, game in the Football League, First Division, on a Saturday night, they're not in the pub looking at TV replays. They're doing recollection from what happened during the game. And if there were mistakes, no one could prove it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't think there's any difference at all. The game's fast. Of course it's fast. Fitness needs to be topped up. But you know, at the end of the day, the referee, there's something in the referees, the laws of the game, which has been there since they were originally written. And it says this: it is the duty of the referee to control the game. How you control that game is down to you, but you must control the game. That's the basic requirement. And you use all the other tools that you've got, your red cards, yellow cards, full-scale bollockings, whatever you want, to help you achieve that.
Quick breaking
Referee's whistle.
for a quick breaking play for a message from our favourite VPN service. As always, NordVPN.
Now you've got a relative story.
Real life story. Yeah.
Real
Well, I
life.
signed up. to VPN, NordVPN, and our Oscar's been watching a series. We got to series 3. Young Sheldon, I think he's been watching, and series 4 not available in the UK. I said, "Hey, come on, son, let's get on this VPN, NordVPN." He got on. Next minute, we're in Australia watching series 4.
Really?
Made his day. So if you don't,
It's worth doing.
if you don't know what the VPN service is, you can bounce your location all over the world, and like we mentioned, you can get your Netflix subscriptions cheaper if you're in different countries. You can get cheaper flights if you're in different countries. There's all kinds of advantages
When we say it
to
every week,
appearing
don't we?
elsewhere.
It's the military style security. Oh, that's what people can bank on.
You are actually military with telling us that it's a military style security.
Yeah, because
It
it
is, though.
protects all your passwords, your bank details, anything that you don't want getting out into the public domain by those sneaky little hackers that
Especially
are
in
out
this
there.
day and age.
Little black book.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to keep that secure under lock and key. It is like a safe on your
Yeah.
computer.
See, I'll be honest with you, I'm not into a particular series at the minute, but there's nothing more frustrating than knowing there's another one out there and you can't.
can't
watch
It
it.
ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
you
you're
can't get to it.
Old Sheldon was like that. Have you seen that? got to be in
Is
China to watch that one.
Is Sheldon the one that's on on Sky and that? Like, he's a
Big
bit of a
Bang.
nerd.
Yeah.
We've got an offer, Chrissy.
Have we got an offer? We've always got an offer.
We have, you're right.
1 month free. Plus 30-day guarantee. If you don't like it, leave the room.
Money back.
Money back guarantee. That's what we're talking about. All you've got to do is follow the link in the description, give it a clickety-click, sign yourself up, you're on board.
Give it a what?
Clickety-click.
Do you know if you would have bought that T-shirt with a 1 month guarantee free, you get your money back job in, would you still own it?
I like it. We were talking before about maybe the expectations of the FA for referees to be more robotic and just do the job and that's it. But were you reprimanded a couple of times for being a bit too theatrical?
Yeah, I was. Well, the main one was I was refereeing Leyton Orient Brentford, which is classed as a derby down in that part of the world. Leyton Orient Brentford, and I'd got as one of me linesmen or assistant referees a lass called Wendy Toms. Now, Wendy was the first female linesman we had on the Football League, and she went on to be a FIFA referee for the ladies. And Wendy was a lovely girl, and I thought quite an efficient linesman. Anyway, on this particular day, we're playing the game, and the ball goes into the penalty area. I see nothing wrong, and suddenly her flag's up in the air going across the chest, which means it's a penalty. So I'm thinking, fair enough, lass, you've seen that, so I give the penalty. Which against Brentford, so they weren't particularly happy. Second half, Brentford score what would have been the equalising goal. I'm happy to give it. Suddenly she's got the flag up for offside, so chalk the goal off. And the Brentford fans started singing 2-1 to the referee, as they do. So, like a fool, I turned round and conducted them. Anyway, we got through the game. I was accused of causing a riot. Well, I mean, there were only 15 chairs thrown on, which I didn't consider a riot. But anyway, the chairman of Brentford was a name you'll remember, Ron Nodes. Do you remember Ron?
Yeah.
I was never Ron's cup of tea. In as much as I was never Richard Scudamore's cup of tea either. But Ron, first thing on the Monday morning, was onto the Football League. Oh, he's done this, he's conducted the crowd. And next thing I've got letter through from the Football League asking for my observations. Tried to get over it with body language and that, and they thought, no, they're not having that. Anyway, this is on the Monday. And I'm in deep shit now. On the Saturday, I'm due to referee Gillingham against Fulham, which has got something hanging over it because on the previous game at Fulham Gillingham, a spectator had been knifed, and so they were expecting a lot of tension. There was a huge police presence, and I get appointed the referee. So I'm going down to Gillingham. I'm scheduled to go to Gillingham on the Friday night, stay overnight, referee the game. This breaks on the Monday morning, and Scudamore, who was at that time in charge of the Football League, before he went to the Premier League, wants me suspended. And the referee's officer, a lad called Jim Ashworth, fought my corner and said, come on, it's Lynch. He's a bit of a maverick, but he's a fucking good referee. Ease off a bit. And this goes on through the week, to the extent that I set off from home on the Friday morning, driving down to Gillingham, not knowing whether I'm going to be refereeing in the game or not. And I was halfway down to London when I got the call saying, Scudamore's backed off, you're on the game. So, that was the repercussions from that. And I mean, all right, I shouldn't have done it. I think it cost me the final. I eventually did referee. I refereed the Football League Trophy final in my final season, Bristol City and Stoke at Wembley. I should probably have done it the previous year, but I was persona non grata for a few months after that little escapade.
Why did he dislike you, Scudamore?
Because I was a maverick. That's
the
what
only
I was.
reason?
I was a maverick referee. Yeah.
Bullshit,
I was a
innit,
maverick
man?
ref. That was the only thing.
Would you like to referee now?
Now,
Yeah.
if I could have some casters put in the bottom of my feet and just glide round like that. No, my days are gone.
But I mean, if you could take your younger self with the VAR and everything else that's around, would you?
Bloody hell, I'd like to run the line because they're told to keep the flag down.
You can't fuck up, can you?
No. If you think it's offside, keep it down. VAR will intervene. Bloody hell, it's easy money. They're on £1,000 a game. Bloody hell, you could do that. Yeah, I mean, I am a supporter of VAR in terms of I want the referees and the assistant referees to have every possible available help to make sure that we get the big decisions right. Who gives a toss about a little throwing that way or that way? Or big decisions. And then, generally speaking, big decisions are the ones that decide whether a goal is scored or not. Get them right. And that's important. I think we ought to rewrite the offside law because I don't think anybody knows what offside is at the moment. And I think we ought to get back to giving offside where give the advantage to the attacking player, not the defending player. So maybe see daylight between the two. But I understand it. They're just going to make more sophisticated software so that the body, if your nose is offside, you're offside.
I'd be fucked.
You'd be offside every week.
Oh, you'd be
Absolutely fucked.
You'd get a yellow card for persistent misconduct, wouldn't you?
Who were the one who done the 3 yellow cards in the
Graham Paul.
the World Cup?
Yeah, Jeff Winter, who's a pal of mine who I know you've had on the show. He texted me the morning after Paul had done this 3-card trick in the World Cup and said, "Lynchy, there is a God." He wasn't like Graham. He wasn't. He was a good referee, let me tell you. But he does the 3-card trick in the World Cup, and then comes out and says that before the tournament started, Sepp Blatter had said to him, "Graham, you have steady tournament time. Make sure you get the World Cup final." That's what he came out and said to the press. I'd been told by Blatter I was going to get the final as long as England weren't in it. Come on. Don't blow your own trumpet that much, son.
Is he still involved in any?
No, I think he's... he was doing some work for Al Jazeera TV, but he's no involvement in this country with anything, I don't think, related to top-level football. But he was a good referee. But he'd got an ego that perhaps just, went too far. But to issue 3 yellow cards to the same player is a mistake you wouldn't expect to see from a referee in Mansfield and District Sunday League Division 6.
That is the most
big
basic.
That's the most basic requirement. And to do that in the highest competition in the world is fairly...
Career suicide.
It took the British referees' reputation down the toilet with it, and now we can't even fill the number of slots that we have. I think we should be able to produce 10 FIFA referees or have 10 FIFA referees on the list every year. And I think we're only operating about 7 or 8 because we haven't got the quality coming through. And quite frankly now, if you were talking to a 15, 16-year-old lad who's got an inclination to be a referee and looks like he's athletic, looks like he's got the build, looks like he can do it, the sky's the limit. Get on the ladder. You can go right the way up. It's a full-time career now. If you get to the very top, you earn a lot of money. It's a job for life, really. And you'll go all over the world. Wonderful.
Was there an incident at what do they call it, the tractor derby?
Down in Norwich Ipswich. Yeah, I did that. I think it was in my last season. It's a huge game. You don't realise till you get down there. Everybody's up for this. And I remember Martin O'Neill was in charge of Norwich and George Burley was managing Ipswich. And Norwich go 2-0 up. And then Ipswich score 1, so it's 2-1. And then Ipswich attack again. Ball gets played in. Big centre forward spins the centre half, goes in the box and gets dropped. And I give a penalty. Looks straightforward to me. And then I just look up to my right-hand side and to get the assistant in view. He's got his flag up for offside. John Walk, who's playing for Ipswich, has got the ball on the penalty spot by this stage. He's having this penalty. So I go across to this linesman. I said, what have I missed? He said he was offside when the ball was played in. I said, seriously? He said, yeah. So I'm giving offside. He said, yeah. So what can you do? I go across, hand up, point the other way, it says offside. So by this stage, there's bricks coming down on the line because he's like really popular with the Ipswich fans. And I have to overturn the decision. And the game finishes 2-1. Now, you know, again, in those days, you couldn't get, although the game was going out live on Anglia TV, there weren't cameras all around the place. You couldn't get an angle that showed that this player was offside. And we've got both managers in afterwards and we're talking it through. And, you know, you would never have convinced George Burley that this was offside. Not in a million years. He had no argument with the fact that, you know, the player, Martin O'Neill said, well, if it's not offside, Kev, it's certainly a penalty because he spun him and he's down. I said, yeah, but he's offside. So
That's easy after, though.
Oh, absolutely.
That's easy after for Martin O'Neill.
Yeah. So we had to just turn it over and they're huge decisions to give, you know. That would have brought 2-2 back up onto it and honours are even. And I'll tell you how important it is in that part of the world. Game was played on a Sunday. On the following night, the Monday night, on their equivalent down there of Look North up here, right, the 6:30 local news, the programme came from the penalty area at Carrow Road. They came live from the penalty area at Carrow where I'd given the decision. You're thinking, what's going on here? And they went, it was the main focal point of the night on the news. So, you know, sometimes you go into areas and think, well, I didn't realise that was so important to them. But it's a big game. The East Anglia derby is a big game. Yeah.
Did any managers speak to you about other referees?
Very rarely. It was never a point of conversation, never a topic of conversation. You know, I mean, there's some games I'd go to. I'd never. The only time I'd see the manager was when they brought the team sheets in to exchange them before the game, and quite often some managers didn't do that. They'd send in the second in command or someone to do that. I always remember being on the line at Forest Arsenal at the City Ground when Brian was the manager, Clough was the manager, and Arsene Wenger was the manager at Arsenal. And the two captains brought the team sheets in. Stuart Pearce was the captain for Forest. Tony Adams was the captain for Arsenal. So about 45 minutes before kickoff. So they knock on the door and in they come. Tony Adams has got the full Arsenal blazer tie, club tie, the job lot. Smart as something out of Burton's shop window. Stuart Pearce is wearing just a jockstrap. That's all he's got on, a jockstrap. Which, you know, really, and... Is
that the one with just a thing up the back?
Yeah.
So basically it's a bit like a thong, isn't it?
Like a thong, yeah. Athletic support, so it's a jockstrap. So the referee suddenly let this fluster him. And he said to Tony Adams, having a dig at Pearce, he says to Tony Adams, my word, Tony, you do look smart, you know. And Adams just looked at the referee as if he was a piece of dirt and he said, you are dealing with the Arsenal Football Club, you know, today, referee. Well, that just killed it, you know, team sheets exchanged and gone. But, that, you know, you sometimes you could see a referee make a rod for his own back by just one little, what was meant to be a compliment, suddenly bounced back on him, you know. But Brian was, I only ever experienced Brian Clough on the line, although I did once referee Forest Reserves and had a bit of a set two with him. But on the line, I mean, when I was near the dugouts, he was just brilliant. And he'd come out with cracks and I'd go back and he once got out the dugout. Game's going on, I'm trying to concentrate, got hold of me round the waist. He said, linesman, I do the funny fucking lines here. Really, he was just brilliant. And I once refereed Forest Reserves at the City Ground and Liam, who was his second in command? Liam O'Kane. Liam O'Kane was looking after the reserves. And during the first half, at the Trent end, before it was a big stand, it was just a shed. Forest goalkeeper's defending that end, and he gets a bang. And Liam O'Kane's doing all job, comes on trainer, and he said, Kev, can I just stay behind the goal here and watch him just in case he has reaction, in case he's got concussed? I said, yeah, no problem. So he got on with the game. And I'm conscious then that Liam O'Kane, he stood behind on the Trent end, and I hear him coaching, play around, do this, do that. So I stopped the game. I said, Liam, if you're going to coach, you need to go back into the technical area. Off he goes. This is in the first half. Comes to half time, got in the dressing room, and then suddenly you can hear all the bloody apprentices scattering up the corridor. Obviously, it's coming Brian Clough. Knock on the door. Opened it. Sorry. Knock on That went well, didn't it? Knock on the door and opened it. And he's there in the blue tracksuit bottoms, green top. And he said, referee, I said, yes, Mr. Clough. He said, I pay my coaches to coach. And I said, I have no problem with that, but if he's going to coach from the confines of the technical area, not from the Trent end. He said, right, thank you. Off he went, and within 30 seconds, Liam O'Kane comes to me and apologises for his behaviour. And I thought that was interesting. I mean, he was good, Clough. In the days as a linesman, when we at Forest, when we used to have to go in and check players' studs, you might remember this, Chris. The linesman used to go in and we had to inspect studs. And you'd go into dressing rooms and somebody would be still out warming up, someone be in the toilets, rag and bones all going round. Whose boots are these? Oh, they're all right. You went to Forest, knocked on the door, Clough opened it, and the whole team was sat round from Shilton right round with the legs up so you could see the studs like that. And you went round, he introduced you to each player. This is Peter Shilton, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. Check the studs on you. Fantastic.
You think that was what we were speaking about earlier with
manipulation,
putting something in the back of your mind?
Whatever he was putting in the mind, all it said to me was, "This is a proper football club." Yeah. You just
doing it right.
Doing it right, and I think you always. I loved refereeing at the City Ground. It was just fantastic, great atmosphere, and I always thought I refereed well there. That was the ground where I had my really major conflict with Ian Wright. Ian Wright at them days was in the twilight of his career and he's playing for Forest. And they're playing Walsall. And because Wright's playing, it's sold out. And I mean, he was a big player, and he was awkward to referee because God almighty, his pedigree was fantastic.
Mouthy.
Mouthy. Oh, yeah. And like, who was I? Who are you? That kind of thing. So he starts having a pop, and I come back at him with a comment. I said, "Oi, I've fried bigger fish than you, And it was just something, I just came... Anyway, he didn't like that. And in fact, David Platt was the manager, and Platt reported me to the Football League for that comment, which is another story. Anyway, I'm having trouble getting hold of him, so I thought, right, I decided to play a little game with him. So basically the game was, if he got fouled, I weren't going to give it. So he gets clattered by a Walsall centre half, ends on his arse, and I've gone, play on. And he's looked at me and I've run away. And 5 minutes later, fullback's had a dig at him, hits the deck, play on. And he looks at me again. And third time, another one goes in. Player, he said, what the fucking hell are you doing? I said, I'm playing a little game with you, Ian, and when you learn the rules, you're going to enjoy this afternoon a lot more than you're enjoying it now. And I ran off again. Anyway, what happened was, suddenly, Walsall's players realised that they'd got free hand to assault Ian Wright, and they've started to go for it big time. And he's getting pummeled. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have to rein this in and give a free kick and sort this out. Anyway, I thought, right, next one's mine, I'll give the free kick. Well, 3 players from Walsall went in on him, all at the same time. And he went up in an arc. He come out of this tackle and he's going up in the air. And he must have been about 6 foot off the ground at the top of it. And I'm just about to blow. And he's at the top of this arc and he shouts, I'll do it, ref, fucking play on. Brilliant. Yeah. He were awkward. And as I say, David Platt put this in that I'd said to him, I've fried bigger fish than you. And again, I get a letter from the Football League. We'd like your comments. And oh dear, all right. You know, it appears to me that the player can say anything he wants to me when I try to manage that situation.
Yeah.
He gets touchy about it. What's going on?
Jeff got into bother with Steve Staunton, something like that. I think he came over effing and blind, and Jeff went, if you talk to me like that where I'm from, you're getting a punch, or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was up in, he was in bother for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's stupid, man.
It's one, you know, they want it both ways. One of those things.
You were saying you were a closet Sheffield Wednesday fan.
Yeah.
Were you allowed to?
Yeah, I should have declared. I should have declared. I should have done. No, but see, my view always, and this really was down to the integrity of the referee. When I refereed a team, it was one team playing in blue and one team playing in red. I didn't give a toss who they were. So I never declared. If there was a club I was going to declare, it would have been Sheffield Wednesday. I actually lived just outside Lincoln, and yet went back to referee at Lincoln City. They appointed me to referee, and it never bothered me going back to Lincoln. And I'd lived just outside of Lincoln, you know. It never bothered me at all. And the funny thing was, my lad's a Wednesday fan. I've got half the family who are Wednesday fans. Every time I officiated, either on the line or refereed them, they lost. Every time. There used to be hell on.
You need to do better.
Fucking hell, Dad, what's going on? He said, why don't you get a penalty? I said, if they go in the fucking penalty area, I can give a penalty. They never did. But, no, I never declared it. And no. But I think that's down to the integrity. That calls into question the referee's integrity. Don't matter, you know.
You're always confident that you're going to be completely impartial.
Absolutely impartial. Yeah. Why not?
There's another one here. Ipswich have featured again. Ipswich Millwall.
Was that my last game? No, it was Ipswich.
The handkerchief.
Yeah, now, this story came back to me a few weeks ago, Chris, because, again, looking through, and I saw this, someone had put this story in, and it was the linesman on the day, and he's put this story in some kind of Twitter account that we're doing the last game of the season, and you know at the last game of the season, there's going to be a pitch invasion. So you're always trying to make sure that if you give the final whistle, the linesman on the far side of the pitch has got a chance to get across before he's engulfed. So I did it on many occasions. I said, just before I'm going to blow the final whistle, I'll get my handkerchief out and either go on or just do that. So you know that the final whistle's not far away. And that's what I used to do. I did it at Port Vale, evidently at Port Vale. When I was refereeing, on the last home game of the season, they had an unwritten rule, which was that they allowed the crowd to come on the pitch, no bother. I said, that's all right. And the fella says, yeah. He said, but when we say come on, what happens is they come on before the final whistle, and you'll look out and you'll see the pitch suddenly getting fucking smaller because they're coming on. And I'm thinking, this is a bit... And he says, right. Now he says, listen, I need the match ball to present to the sponsors after the game. So I need you to get the ball off. So I said, well, okay then. And there's going to be a picture. He said, yeah. I said, okay, if I get the ball back to you, I want some drinks in the dressing room afterwards, like a few beers, and look after us. Yeah, deal, he says. So I've done signal to linesman on far side thinking, I haven't got a fucking clue how you're going to come. But handkerchiefs out and all this bollocks. So, and honestly, with 5 minutes to play, 5 minutes, you can't see the touch lines. They're coming in at four sides of the ground. The crowd is making a human perimeter. Linesmen are coming in with them there. We're playing a really tight pitch. So went up to Nacho, gets handkerchief out, don't have that, blows the final whistle and run like fuck towards the tunnel. Now at Port Vale, it's a big wide area to go into, and I've gone for it, ball under the arm, right, boom, 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 and about 20 yards from the tunnel area, and there's crowds coming, I'm going through people as well. I'm fucking running and my legs aren't going anywhere because this huge bloke has picked me up and he's trying to get the match ball from under my arm. And I'm trying to fight him off. And eventually I get rid of him and get up the tunnel. I thought, yes, got the match ball, right? Got the drinks in. Get in the dressing room, one linesman's in. near side. I said, where's Bob? I said, I ain't got a fucking clue where Bob is. This is the linesman on far side of the pitch. I'm thinking, well, fucking hell, we're going to have to find... Where is he? 5 minutes later, Bob walks in. I said, where the fuck have you been? He said, the only way I could get over, he says, I had to go out the stand on far side. I've walked around the car park to get back in, he says. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's no, like, personality-wise, they're dull as dishwater now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's a... Yeah, I don't know what Harry Kane's like to talk to on the pitch. I've no idea. I mean, the players are what they are, but you make of it as you will. I mean, in my career, some of the funniest things that happened to me didn't perhaps happen on the pitch; they happened off it. For example, when I got in my first season on Boxing Day, they give me this huge game to referee, like Rochdale, Halifax Town. Didn't sleep for a week when that one came through. And so, building up to the Christmas period, we'd had some bad weather. So I rang up the Rochdale secretary a few days before the game is due to be played. And I said, everything all right for Boxing Day? Oh, he says, listen, this is the game that pays all our bills, he says. For the rest of the season, we're sold out.
Was that your responsibility to phone the club, or did they...
I would always do that just to make sure.
Right,
yeah.
But that wasn't part of your remit?
No, but if I thought there might be an issue, I always rang. Yeah. And he said, we're sold out, sold all the corporates. We've even got hot air ballooning over the pitch to protect it. Oh, I said, brilliant. 3 o'clock kick-off then, Boxing Day. I'll see you about midday. So 9:30 on Boxing Day morning, secretary rings me and he says, look, I think the pitch is okay, but the chairman's rolled in and he says he's not happy and he won't open the gates until you say we're definitely playing. So I says, okay, I'll come over early. So I whiz over M62, drop down to Spotland's ground, park the car, walk down the tunnel, secretary joins me, get to the side of the pitch, look to the left-hand penalty area, huge pools of water and some ducks having a bit of a swim. Not promising. Look to the right-hand penalty area, large sheets of ice, more ducks having a skate. Secretary says, what do you think? I says, I think we'll come back in April on a nice spring evening because you can't play on this. We said, look, I'm ever so sorry that we had to put the balloon down 24 hours before we wanted to. Weather's beaten us. He said, I totally agree, Kev. We can't play on this. I'll let the press know we're off and we'll see you when we get it rearranged. I said, fine. So I turned to go back up the tunnel. Blocking my path is a little fella about 5'10", brown smock, flat cap. I said, excuse me. He says, are that referee? I said, yes, who are you? He said, I'm the pie man. I said, you what? He says, I am the Rochdale pie man. He said, did you notice a white transit van in the car park when you came in? I said, yeah, I did. Why? He says, do you know what's in it? I said, I haven't got a clue. He says, in my van in the car park, I've got 5,500 meat and potato pies. Rumour has it you've just called this fucking game off. I said, you can't play football on here. He says, do you realise I've got a wife and 4 kids to support? I says, well, they're not go hungry for a few days. They're all on fucking five, are they? And I skirted past him, up the tunnel, car park and away. So we come back in April to play this game. Lovely spring evening. Only trouble is it's pissing it down with rain right through the game, so I'm bloody sodden. And but we finished the game. Get back in the dressing room, just getting ready, knock on the door. See, I noticed I didn't knock the table down. It's him, stood there, brown cap, flat cap, all the job lot. He says, does they remember me, ref? Oh, I said, how could I ever? Come on in. He says, no hard feelings about Boxing Day. I said, no, I had a job to do, one of those things. He said, right. From my point of view, no hard feelings at all. And I bought her something to warm you up before you drive home. And he produced 4 steaming hot meat and potato pies, put them on the table. He said, oh, kid, have them with my best wishes. I said, thanks very much indeed. Off he goes. He turned around. He said, they've kept quite well since fucking Boxing Day. So it's little things like that that make the humour, you know.
What was the crack with QPR Portsmouth?
That was the game where Venables came back to QPR for the first time. He was the owner, the chairman. And when I got there, I thought that the police presence was a bit thin for a local derby because they've come. The Portsmouth fans had come up in the droves. And this game was tetchy. And I think I sent one off from each side. But during the second half, fighting broke out in the crowd where the players' wives were. So they don't want to play football because this is big trouble. So the match commander says, take them off, Kev, take them off. So I took the players off. And we had a 15, 20-minute delay while they sort this trouble out. And I'm in the hands of the police then. If the police had said, we're abandoning it, you're not going back. But he come to me and he said, you can take them back out now. So took them back out. We finished the game. And again, I'd driven down, but I'd parked up at Loftus Road and my wife would come with me. She'd gone off into town and come back. And I said, come back about 5:15 and I'll be ready and we'll get off up the motorway and back up home. So, of course, this delay puts this back. So she's arrived at the ground when it's only just finished. And outside the ground, with the police stormtroopers, there was a phalanx of about 50 police, all battened up and everything. And there was a policeman stood on one side. And she went up to this copper, Jan, and she said, what's he done now? I don't know how she knew it were anything to do with me, but that was the way she introduced herself. What's he done now? Yeah. But there we are, yeah. So that was,
Were there much trouble in the crowds when you were refereeing?
No, very rarely.
Back then it were...
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
The one that wasn't really crowd trouble, but early in my career, I got a line at Sunderland, Chesterfield against Sunderland at Saltergate. And I learned on that game the importance that a Magistrates Constabulary plays when a professional football match is staged, because 5,000 travelled down from the northeast, standing as they could in those days on the terraces on the far side of the players' tunnel at Chesterfield's old Saltergate ground. And in the second half, I'm in the line in front of them. And with 15 minutes left to play, Sunderland losing this game by 3-0. I'm concentrating on events on the pitch, and I hear from behind me, psst, linesman. And I look round, it's the police match commander, crouched down on the perimeter track, peak cap, pips, baton under his arm. I said, what's up, officer? He says, when the referee blows the final whistle, run like fuck. I said, I've no problem complying with that. Why do you want me to take that course of action? He says, you see all these Sunderland fans behind you? I said, yeah. He says, they're going to invade the pitch when he blows that final whistle. And they're not going to be too impressed with you and your two mates. So for your own personal safety, when he blows that final whistle, run like fuck. I said, no problem. So the minutes tick away, in the dying embers, referee goes, psh, and I've gone whoosh, straight on. Bliss flew unaware the referee's just awarded a free kick. So I'm halfway onto the pitch and I realise he's only awarded a free kick. I think, fucking hell, back off. And I look around me, there's 5,000 fucking Sunderland fans think it's the final whistle as well, and they're coming over the fences towards me. So I'm like in no man's land. I can't go back because I've got half a weir side coming towards me. I've got to keep going towards the referee, who's manfully trying to get a defensive wall back 10 yards for this fucking free kick he's just given. And the look of horror on his face as he saw me bearing down on him at a speed that I thought were close to Mach fucking 1. And in fairness to him, he had the presence of mind to think, fucking hell, and he ran off as well, and we all went off together. And he said afterwards, he said, I've never had a pitch invasion led by one of my linesmen before this.
Oh, brilliant. We've not done this one for a while, but with all your experience at the game, all the characters you've met,
Yeah.
you could have a Sunday afternoon in the golf club with 5 characters, should we say, that you've encountered and been around in the game.
In the game of football.
Yeah. Who's invited to the party?
Sir Bobby, because I was involved with him as a manager at Newcastle when I was on the line, and he was just a delight. And the stories were like fantastic. So I'd have Sir Bobby. I'd have another Knight of the Realm, Sir Alex. I'd have Brian Clough. That'd be 3. 2 more.
Nobody from the refereeing world.
I was just going into that area then. The best referee I ever lined to was George Courtney from the Northeast. He was wonderful. Charisma, aura about him. So I'd have George down. George is still alive. And then I'd have to pick a player. And of all the players who I had the privilege of refereeing, the one who impressed me more than anybody else was Glenn Hoddle. Glenn Hoddle was wonderful. and I think I'd have Glenn. That could be quite an interesting lunch. Yeah, that'd be steady away, wouldn't it? Yeah. I don't know how we'd shut Brian up. Brian,
There'd be a few battling for the mic,
there
wouldn't there?
wouldn't there? It'd be an interesting lunch. That one would be. Yeah.
And who would be the 5 who you would despise sat in golf club with?
Well, Roy, because you never know with Roy Keane what you're going to get. I've seen Roy in the lounge at Blackburn Rovers at half time, and I've been chatting to him. He's been quite sensible, and a 7 or 8 year old lad's come up for his autograph, and he said no. Why? What are you doing, Roy? That's daft. So Roy's awkward. Ian Wright can't get. Jan says he's lovely on TV, ain't he? I said, you want to see him on a football pitch? That's a clever. So them two would not be great. Dennis Smith, the former Stoke City. Oh, we've not had that story, but that he was awkward. He ended up at Lancaster Gate that in the good old days on a personal hearing where I'd given me evidence, he'd given his, and the fellow who was chairing the commission said, "We're going to let you have a 15-minute head start on Mr. Smith before we let him go." Oh, thanks very much for that, boys. Brilliant. Yeah. So Dennis Smith, not clear. But, stretching it to 5, I might be struggling because overall, I got on with people. And it's so nice now to go back on days when we do, and you see people who you dealt with and you got on with, and they're still around, and it's nice banter. Yeah.
Enjoyed that.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Smashing. Thank you.
I think Jeff done a great job at showing people that referees have got personality.
Yeah, you've added to it, I think.
Added to it immensely.
Thank you very much indeed. That's very kind.
Thank you for coming
I've
on.
enjoyed it. It's a great pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Wonderful. Lovely jubbly.
They're not 115.
Knock on dressing room door.